Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something huge. We're looking at the very frontier where technology is just shattering our legal definition of what it means to be human.
It really is. You have these advanced AIs gaining massive autonomy, and then on the other hand, human augmentation, neural implants, genetic editing. It's not sci-fi anymore.
Exactly, and it's blurring all the lines, identity, intelligence, and this core concept of personhood.
And that's not just some philosophical puzzle for an ivory tower. It's a really urgent regulatory challenge. And for you, listening, it's about the future rules of our society.
So the mission for this deep dive is to get into the nuts and bolts of it all, redefining what legal personhood actually means for both AI and for, well, highly augmented humans.
Right, because traditionally, legal personhood, rights and responsibilities, that was just for us, for biological humans.
But that idea is starting to dissolve.
It really is. Even the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy points out that legal personhood is a social construct. It's not a biological fact.
So we made it up, which means we can change it.
We can. And the pressure to change it is immense, coming from both the incredible autonomy we're seeing in AI and, of course, the whole transhumanist movement.
Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with what you call the AI conundrum.
Yeah.
What are the actual trade-offs if we grant personhood to an AI that can create music or make real-world decisions?
Well, you immediately hit this duality. It's rights versus responsibilities.
Okay.
The rights side is, I think, easier to get your head around. Think intellectual property. If an AI writes a novel, a really good one, who owns it?
The company that built the AI, I assume?
Today, yes. But if the AI has personhood, it could own its own IP. But then comes the hard part. Responsibility. If that same AI is, say, driving a car and causes millions in damages, who's liable?
Ah, right. Who do you sue? The algorithm.
Exactly. And that's where it gets really interesting. The Harvard Law Review highlights these huge difficulties with accountability and moral agency.
Moral agency?
Yeah.
You mean the ability to know right from wrong, to have intent.
Precisely. How do you punish a computer program? You can't put it in jail. Without that moral agency, legal personhood is just this hollow concept.
But then you have the flip side. If we have a truly advanced, maybe even sentient AI, and we deny it any status.
You risk what some scholars are now calling AI slavery, forcing a highly capable, maybe even feeling entity to just be property.
So let's shift gears to the other side of this, the augmented human. We're not talking about, glasses.
No, we're talking about extensive enhancements. Imagine a neural implant that lets you process information 500 times faster. Do you still have the exact same legal standing as everyone else?
That immediately creates friction.
A huge amount. Our laws are all built on this idea of, well, relative human parity, that we're all more or less in the same ballpark, capability-wise.
But if you create a class of cognitively enhanced individuals, that parity is gone.
It's fractured. And what our source material suggests is the very real potential for a stratified legal system. You could end up with a new class of, quote, super citizens.
Super citizens. And what would that even mean? They might argue they need different legal considerations.
They could. They might demand exemptions from certain labor laws or maybe even different voting rights based on their, superior cognitive contribution.
That just blows up our core principles of equality and justice.
It really does. And connecting this to the bigger picture, this whole debate, AI and augmented humans, it demands a complete overhaul of our legal codes.
Everything from criminal law to contracts.
Everything. We need a new framework because right now the law just sees two things, a person or a tool. And the future is much more nuanced.
So you'd have to distinguish between, say, an intelligent agent, a smart tool, and a genuinely autonomous, sentient being.
Yes, something with actual conscious awareness. And legislating along that spectrum means we have to grapple with what consciousness even is.
A concept we can barely define for ourselves.
I know. It's incredibly elusive.
So the ultimate takeaway for you, our listener, is that this is not some far-off futuristic problem. It demands a proactive, interdisciplinary effort right now.
From everyone, policymakers, lawyers, ethicists, technologists.
We have to act to keep our legal systems just and, frankly, morally coherent in a world where the very definition of who can be held accountable is completely up for grabs.
And here's a final provocative thought to leave you with. If we are forced to create a legal definition of personhood for an AI, could that necessity, that absolute need, finally force humanity to agree on a concrete, measurable definition of consciousness itself?